Hello, you're listening to Food Rebels. I'm your host, AJ Sharp. This is the food and drink show dedicated to the exciting world of food founders, challenger brands, and people in food who are challenging the industry. For the next 30 minutes, we'll be providing a peek behind the curtain, on-air tastings, and food and drink-based entertainment for our listeners around the UK and further afield. I'm the show host, you know me, food writer, food judge, all that sort of stuff. And I'm delighted to be joined again by MasterChef winner Dhruv Baker. Welcome back.
Thank you, AJ. As always, a pleasure to be back.
Very exciting. We had a really great show last week where Dhruv was talking to us about Tempest charcuterie, and we had the Smoking Brothers in, and we learnt loads about your company, which was a really cool show. I'm really excited to have you here again today. We are learning more about spices and ingredients around the world.
Well, I'm beyond excited. I mean, spice is very, very close to my heart. Kind of formed the base of a lot of my kind of culinary background and working life. So I cannot wait to get into today's episode.
Cool. I was actually doing some research about you. I discovered all sorts of things.
All lies.
You ran a catering company.
I did.
Presented 2 TV shows.
Correct.
For National Geographic.
Mm-hmm.
And I see you all the time on Instagram as a food demo and chef and compare.
Mm-hmm.
You've written a load of cookbooks as well.
I wish it was a load. It's 2, but both based on spices. So
no,
yeah.
Actually,
One is called Spice, Layers of Flavour, and the other is actually a kids' book, which is on the curriculum at the moment to excite children into ingredients and food. And so I sort of brought in piracy and war and mythology and everything that they surrounded around spices to add value to them. You know, historically, like cinnamon being made from the nests of big scary birds that'll hack you to bits. So. It's still exciting whether you're a child or not. I think spices are that sort of that magical or glimpse into something very magical, and I think that's never gone away. Certainly not with me. And I love the fact that it's still, you know, they all come from amazing places that are generally
exotic and beautiful.
Yeah, a little tonic for when you're looking out your window into a dreary grey afternoon. Spices have that ability to lift you and elevate that and transport you somewhere more exciting and more wondrous.
Yeah, absolutely. I had my honeymoon in Zanzibar, which is why I'm really excited about one of the guests we got on today. And we were taken on this tour of this spice garden and this farmer showing us all these different beautiful things that he was growing there, which we're going to learn a little bit more about today, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So our experts in today, we've got Alec Cousin from SuperPlant Kitchen.
That's right.
And Jawahir Al-Mawli, hopefully I've said that right.
Jawahir Al-Mawli, yes.
Al-Mawli from Ujamaa Spice.
Yep.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So nice to have you guys here. Jar, tell us a little bit about your company.
Yes, absolutely. So we're called Ujamaa Spice, and what we do is we work directly with smallhold farmers in Zanzibar, Tanzania. We source their spices, sell them in the UK, and in return we pay them a much more fair price for all of their products. And we want to say, 100% of that supply chain. We're really into sustainability in that aspect.
That's really cool. Thank you. And Alec, tell us a little bit about your SuperPlant kitchen.
Hi, so we make a range of bouillon bases and single-serve freeze-dried snacks in Europe and sell them around Europe and UK.
Amazing. Well, between both of your products in this studio, it's an absolute beautiful kind of rainbow of different flavours and smells and aromas.
It smells phenomenal. And I've got to say that radio is not the best medium to translate or to project that. But actually, what I will say is that not eating lunch and then facing this array of delicious smelling things is really not a good idea. But I can't wait to try it. I mean, it smells phenomenal. And just as I keep getting waves of different smells and aromas coming off the table because we've got so much amazing stuff represented here, I think.
I feel like we should start with the chai latte. Is that a good idea?
Let's go.
What do you think? Sorry, it's the turmeric latte. Okay, brilliant. Can you tell us a little bit about this, Jar?
Yeah, definitely. So the reason why we created the turmeric latte was we just wanted something fresh that you can drink, but also when you do buy turmeric latte, it's either too strong or too weak. So we wanted to be able to give the person the ability to make it to their own strength and also, you know, use the spices that we get from all of our farmers.
Brilliant. I don't know very much about a turmeric latte. Where do you drink it? How do you drink it?
in Zanzibar, majority of time they drink it right before they go to sleep because it's like caffeine free, right? It's just a mixture of like cinnamon, cardamom, ginger, and black pepper with just milk. And you can drink it honestly at any time because there's no caffeine inside of it.
Beautiful.
Do you know, food is so funny and how you react to it. I think certain things have this nostalgia trigger. And so I was brought up in India from the age of 5. We lived there for about 10 years. But that is that instant transportation to that masala chai, that on a busy train station, that hot tea, which is generally sweet. So this hasn't got sugar in it, so it doesn't feel like my teeth are going to fall out like you would do with those, or sweetened with condensed milk. But just that amazing florality from the cardamom, and you've got that bite from the pepper and that ginger that gives you that lovely warming feeling with the turmeric. I instantly feel like I am healthier and a better person than I was 30 seconds ago.
It's very comforting, isn't it? Those
really
flavours, they feel like they're giving you a hug. I met you a few weeks back, didn't I? And you literally jumped on me and went, try this. And I remember thinking, oh, that's exactly what I wanted. We're at some busy show. And it was just like, real kind of hit of health, relaxation, sort of almost sweet, but the sweetness has only really come from the milk that you've used as a base, hasn't it?
And if you want to make it even more creamier, we always recommend oat milk. It's so good with oat milk. And our customers actually call it sunshine in a cup.
Yes,
I can see
because
that.
the beautiful yellow colour.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. What did you think of that, Alec?
I loved it. I love the colour. I mean, it's amazing. It's just not sweet at all. It's wonderful.
Absolutely lovely. And what are the other spices you've got? So is it everything from turmeric to ginger and nutmeg and...
Yeah, so basically we are working with the types of spices that Zanzibar is able to grow right now, and that ranges, as you said, from like turmeric, ginger, black pepper. We have pili pili, which is like really super spicy. The turmeric and the ginger that you have today, actually, it won Great Taste Awards, 2 stars, and we're so proud. We're actually more proud for our farmers, because especially for these 2 spices, we work with like women cooperatives, so the majority of the farmers are women. And I just want to get an extra award for them and personally go to Zanzibar and just give it to them because I think they deserve all the credit, not us at all.
So the women cooperative, so is this female farmers?
Female farmers, yeah.
Wow.
That's the thing that people don't really know about Zanzibar. Majority of farmers there are women.
Really?
Yeah.
What do they do for childcare?
They bring their kids to the...
They bring their kids with them. That's amazing, isn't it? Absolutely incredible.
I lived in Peru for a few years, and a lot of the farmers there were
women as well.
Women, and they would have their babies on their backs, and they would cook lunch. Very impressive group.
I love that. We're talking about spices, and we've smelt a couple now, and we will taste them. But I think it's such a step forward for us to move towards spices where provenance is that key. I mean, yes, there's a wonderful story about sustainability, but also about welfare. But from a pure product quality basis, I think for so long we've been used to buying spices which haven't been kept to their optimal level, that end up just kind of tasting faintly of something but not a lot, or using the mother-in-law's spice that I inherited when she moved house in 82, or actually realizing that there are spice and there are spice and they're not a commodity. And I think that is the difference, is that historically we've always seen it as salt, salt is salt.
Sure.
No, absolutely isn't.
Sure.
And spices, there is no comparison between something of this level of quality and the amount of care and attention versus something that's much more mass produced and doesn't has that intensity. And I think I love that we're coming into that specificity now, where people are challenging more from us as producers and suppliers to actually deliver something over and above what was the bar, which had been set fairly low.
100%. And just going back to that point, so this year I focused a lot on doing in-person events like markets. The biggest reason why I wanted to do that was that education, towards the consumer. And the amount of surprise that we received from consumers when they would open our spices, smell it, even taste it, it was shocking to me to hear them say we didn't know ginger's supposed to taste like this, and they're like, what have we been tasting or eating this whole time, So I completely agree with what you're saying, and it's so important. Provenance quality is so important.
Alec, have a smell of that. Dhruv and I were just smelling it. The
just
fruit and the richness of flavour that's coming through off that ginger is absolutely extraordinary.
I mean, it's across the board. I mean, we've smelt the ginger, the black pepper, the turmeric, the pepper especially is caught. Like I was staggered by, because it has, you know, we think of black pepper as something that sits in the mill, dries out, becomes a bit more stale. You should just, without thinking, twist it onto your food. But actually, I just tried one of those, and you've got this incredible fruitiness, and there's an acidity to it. And the first thing I thought, I want to infuse that into milk to make a vanilla ice cream.
Wow.
First place I went to was a black pepper vanilla ice cream using that. And I think it would give you this incredible nuance, and you've got that contradiction between temperature and heat, but not heat of temperature. And so you've got a cold palate, but you've got the warming sensation, which is contradictory, but I think would work really well. And amazing to think that just by smelling that, you go straight into a dessert territory, not salt and pepper on a fried egg or something. So I think, you know,
Might actually try that.
Go for it. I certainly am going to try it. But and I think that's the magic of things like spices, is they have that ability to trigger creativity and thought. And you can see now how, 500-600 years ago they were responsible for...
Revered.
Yeah, absolutely. For whether it was causing war or piracy, as you said earlier. But the fact that still they can actually enhance and really change the way somebody approaches food and elevate dishes. So...
And there are some great spice shops in New York and West Coast states, the Oaktown Spice Shop. I mean, they will guide you through their selection of spices and the procurement and the heritage really behind their ingredients is just extraordinary.
Well, luckily we're fortunate now because with like Ujamaa we don't need to go to the West Coast, and we get
right
it brought to us.
Brought it to us.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about our spices is the fact that they're single origin. So what you're tasting in this jar, like this batch, the next time we bring another batch of turmeric, it's going to taste completely different. Like the flavor notes are going to be completely different. And we do get questions from our customers hey, the ginger tasted a bit sweeter last time. It tastes different. We're yeah, that's the beauty of single origin. We don't do monoculture. It's we surprise you every time.
And like everything else in farming, each harvest is going to be different, isn't it? Depending on the weather and conditions and what goes on.
100%. Yeah.
That is amazing. And what's the plan for the range? I mean, we can see 4 or 5 here. How many have you got in your range?
We have 8 right now, but we are looking into adding more. We might be releasing 2 new spices, cumin and coriander. I see Drew's face, yeah.
I'd be terrible at poker. I think I set my stall out early saying I get excited by spices, but no, I do. I think that's...
Yeah, we also would love to basically expand our sourcing map. So not only help farmers in Zanzibar, but maybe going to Tanzania, Kenya, that whole Swahili coast, because there's so much diversity over there as well.
That's amazing. I love how you've even got the village on one of them I was looking at. I mean... This is like wine, isn't it? This is like wine that comes from a particular, vineyard. This is what you're saying, isn't it?
Yeah, and we're basically trying to tell people it's so important to understand where your product is from. Something I always tell people is ask yourself the 5 W's, right? Where's my product from? Who is the farmer? When was it harvested? Why is it priced the way it is, and what is exactly in those jars? And we try to answer all those 5 W's, not only on our website, but on our packaging as well. If you were to read it, you would see, as you said, AJ, the name of the farm it came from. We would tell you a bit of a story about our farmers, because we want to put the farmer in front of the product, because we feel it's so important that you know about that. We've got the date of when, to use it by. But also, our jars are super transparent, so you can see exactly what's inside. And that means we're just so confident about what we're giving you,
And they're very generous feeling jars. It feels like you get, really amazing value. Where can we buy this?
So right now we are online mostly, but we are looking to go into more retail stores, especially down in England. I'm situated up in Scotland, so we will be updating the stock list, but majority of it is available online for now.
Okay, so if we've got any retailers listening to this, you need to get these guys on your shelves.
Contact us.
This is something else. This is amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Alec, my mouth is watering as well. The smell of this.
That's a chana masala.
A chana masala. Can we try it?
Please do. So we're offering these in little 60-gram single-serve pots, and the idea is that you add 150 millilitres of hot water, let it sit for 5 minutes, and essentially you have a snack that's low in salt and high in fibre, and we hope tasty. So yeah, as I say, all the ingredients are organic, and we're trying to offer sort of great food on the move. So no excuse not to be able to eat well.
I love the idea of this because I think we, on our rain-swept island, are used to stuff that comes in pots that you pour hot water into, but it's a very far cry from this.
It's a very far cry.
I mean, these are batch cooked and then freeze dried.
So I mean,
so the process is sort of 16 hours to freeze dry them, but they really are cooked in small batches by chefs.
But actually, that convenience, when you think convenience food, automatically your mind goes to probably bad for you. Convenience equals bad, but actually it's delicious, and you can take the flavors are still going and developing and coming through. So actually, just because something's been vilified because of the process, it's actually what was being. It's not about the process itself. Whereas this, I'd have absolutely no compunction eating at lunch.
It feels like real food, doesn't it?
That's what it feels like.
The rice has got bite. You can taste different vegetables in there, and there's a spice palette in there that's beautiful. It's got a lovely length.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I think it's quite unusual also to find something that is low in salt. You can obviously add salt if that's that's your taste, and something that's high in fibre. I mean, I guess the challenge that we've got is that the format is similar to some of the more traditional sort of single serve pots, and so and the price point will be or is slightly higher.
But it's a much better quality product.
It is a much better quality product, but our challenge is to try and get that across with that.
I mean, we're talking about pot noodles here, aren't we?
We are talking
it's
about
not
pot noodles, and yes.
Well, this is rice and it's vegetables, and it looks hearty, and you can see the yellow, the orange there from turmeric and things like that. Right. I can imagine.
That's right.
And what's this other one here?
And this is a bolognese that I think I'm not allowed to call a bolognese because it doesn't contain meat. It has a pea protein and a little ziti pasta. There's a no beef bouillon in there, and fresh tomato and herbs and your usual ingredients. But both are suitable for vegans.
Oh wow!
So I mean, we're not sort of leading as being a kind of a vegan brand, but all of our products are suitable for vegans. That's the.
But I think we're moving towards that slightly more flexible approach, aren't we?
Yeah.
The term flexitarian for some reason sits really badly with me. The word itself, the concept, I'm all for.
Damn marketing people coming up with stupid names.
So utilitarian. it really does. Like a flexitarian. So it's taking all the fun out of food.
But I think we should, as a meat producer, I genuinely think we should be eating less meat. And how do we go about it? Well, by incorporating things like this into our diet. Also, we all live busy lives and we haven't got time to cook. Well, this answers solves another problem. I think we are well equipped now to move to a way which is far more sustainable, but also without any compromise in terms of what we're putting into our bodies. So we don't have to eat. We're not going to go into what it was again, which you can make from a kettle in essence. But this is that kind of 98% rule, right? 98% of the work you've done. And we just have to boil a kettle and add it. And you actually, you're not compromising on nutrition, on flavour, on quality. And it happens to be vegan or plant-based, which means that you appeal to everyone. No one's going to say, I don't eat that because I eat meat.
But I do find anything that is convenience, if it has meat in it, it's off-putting.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I want a convenience food to be vegan or vegetarian, where I'm pretty confident the sourcing of the products are something that I'm happy to eat. And then if I'm going to eat meat, that's fine, but I know where I get it from, and I source it from very specific.
Absolutely, I think in this type of product, it's almost impossible to have a meat that where it's come from.
But I love the
never
process.
going to happen.
Instead of trying to shoehorn it in somehow, we've gone. You know what? Let's celebrate it for what it is, and it's not got animal protein in it.
Yeah.
And I would have a lot more respect, or do have, for a product like that with someone who tried to somehow get meat into it. That meat's not going to be particularly well reared. It's not going to be the top quality meat, which generally means suffering at some point.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm all for it across the board.
And it's great. You can always add cheese or something if you wanted to add in something else.
That's right. Yeah, well, you can.
It is it's great.
Do with it as you will. But of course, if you wish to add salt or chili or even one of the bouillon bases to sort of beef it out a little bit.
And I mean, let's be honest, I work in an office here near the studio. We're all real foodies. We love food. But that doesn't mean you haven't had back-to-back meetings and you need some sustenance. You need something quickly. You want it to taste good because you are actually bothered about that. And you want it to be kind of, wholesome and hearty and delicious before you dash into the next meeting that you're on.
Yeah,
We're all living these very busy lives.
Office lunches are a sad thing sometimes.
They
but
really
I think,
are.
if I would actually not worry about having back-to-backs because I knew I could boil the kettle, pop that on, and you've got something that you're not going to regret. That's the other thing, is the instant regret factor when you eat something bad for lunch.
Yeah.
I think I wish I hadn't eaten that sandwich.
At about 3 o'clock, you have this tummy pain you can't really explain.
Yes, and you can explain it because it was a terribly made sandwich, which you should have known better.
Or perhaps if you're camping, or if somebody's in hospital or in clinic or something, where it's really hard to find good food or hard to find any food that beyond can of soda and a bag of chips. So
that's fab. The main part of your business is the bouillon.
Is really bouillon. So in my background, I established a company called Joubert back in the mid 90s, and we were making beef stocks and demi-glace and boiling chicken and veal bones to create proper fresh stocks, and we supply those into the multiple retailers and into quite a few restaurants and hotels and contract caterers. And then I spent some time in Peru and was really taken with some of the wonderful ingredients that people use there. And I wanted to try to incorporate some of the goodness of the vitamins that these guys have with a different kind of way of sort of transporting it into your body. Really, I loved also the idea of sort of Marmite of old and Bovril of old, these sort of elixirs of goodness. But was a bit fed up with boiling bones. I mean, I think a cow delivers 27, consumes 27 times the amount of protein it delivers. And I just thought that, the idea of creating stocks from scratch and transporting a sort of a chilled fresh stock was a bit cumbersome. And so we wanted to create some vegan versions of beef and chicken, and each little pot is high in 5 micronutrients: vitamin D, B12, iron, iodine, and calcium. So each 250 ml cup delivers those 5 key.
That's fantastic.
Nice.
So. We were just playing Guess the Bouillon there because we got all these cups out. We weren't sure which one, but we decided this one was probably the no beef broth.
This is no beef.
No beef, yeah. No beef broth, which comes in a lovely little pink pot. Looks beautiful. Which one have you got there? I know there's a no chicken.
Yeah, well, I would hazard a guess. No, I wouldn't. I mean, this smells.
There's a no chicken. There's a mushroom bouillon as well that we have included.
This one might be mushroom, actually.
Porcini and lion's mane.
Yeah.
That's mushroom.
Very porcini-y.
Yeah, so we use a porcini powder from Emilia-Romagna and lion's mane in there. So in fact, the packaging that we're using are these little 10-gram pots that have got quite a clever little enzyme in them that allows them to be biodegradable. So they're recyclable. 70% of the PET used in it is recycled PET.
Sorry, which bit's biodegradable?
So the little pots that you've got over there, exactly. So all of these are biodegradable pots.
Oh, fab.
So if they end up in landfill, they will, after 2 to 3 years, literally become organic material.
Oh, brilliant. Do they need to be composted in a particular way to make that happen?
No, they should be recycled. But if they don't end up in recycling, they end up in landfill, then no worries.
Then they'll disappear. That's fantastic. Oh, it's so good that so many businesses are actually going the extra mile to. And I know it costs more, and I know it's more annoying, and I know it changes.
It's a real
things,
process.
But we kind of have to. Really.
You have to.
We have to do it.
Yeah,
it's
we
just
have to, absolutely.
There is no alternative. Well, we don't really want to look at the alternative, but
no.
We have to, and we have to do it on scale now. But it's great to see people actually picking up on it. I'm going back to the flavour. I think it's such a great shorthand to introduce bags of flavour into dishes, whether you use it as a bouillon, as a stock, or whether you pinch a teaspoon or add a teaspoon into it. And I think it's a great way to add depth of flavour and richness. You could think you could do a mushroom risotto and add a teaspoon of that to it as well, and just enhance that. Or the chicken tastes like chicken, the beef tastes like beef. And you're just talking about making stocks. There are die-hard foodies who will make stock at home, but let's be honest, the price of energy at the moment, do you really want your gas or your induction hob on for 8, 9, 10 hours? You know, it's a significant amount of money, and actually when you add up the value of what it costs you to make that stock, more often than not, you're probably better off
buying it.
Yeah.
A lot of chefs use. So I was just going to say, a lot of chefs actually, really genuinely use bouillon. One said to me that it was a dirty secret.
Oh, really?
So the dirty secret to actually just to enhance flavors and to get kind of a breadth of umami.
I use bouillon in all cooking. Yeah. Nearly everything I make, I'll put a little bit of something in.
Yeah.
But it actually hilariously was part of my marriage vows. My husband's mother boiled up stock pots for all of his childhood, and he has these sort of memories of the house smelling of kind of fish or chicken bones or whatever.
His mother hauling a veal foot out the
yes, he's like, please.
Stock day is not a good day.
No stock pots. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I could take that. No, it's absolutely incredible. So what's next on the agenda for you?
Well, I think we'd like to expand where we're selling. Right now we're selling online. We're exporting a little bit to Canada, and we have a small office in Bern in Switzerland. So we have some retailers there. So I think it's really to sort of focus what we're doing with the existing range. I mean, the possibilities of extending what we're doing on freeze dried is really exciting. Just
huge
literally putting together sort of culinary. Ability. There's a kitchen and there's a freeze dried technology, but it's just fantastic.
I'm seeing freeze dried so many places now.
Yeah, I don't know what people think of freeze dried, but if you declare something freeze dried, whether it's a good or a bad thing, I mean, it is freeze dried. That's it. I like it.
There's no negative to it, is there?
I don't know. I don't know whether people do.
I don't think so. We had Soul Fruit on the show a few weeks back, and they obviously dry through the traditional dehydration process some of their fruit, so it's chewy, and then some they freeze dry, so it comes up with this really beautiful crunchy. And the whole idea being that snacking fruit, you might be feeling like something crunchy, so they have mango and chewy and crunchy, and I just think it's really innovative and cool.
So I mean, you're seeing companies like Huel and some of these other guys who are doing big bags of freeze-dried food, but there's no mention really on their site that it's freeze-dried.
No.
I just wonder whether there was a reason for that. But
no, I don't know.
Anyway, we're proud about it.
Brilliant.
Proudly freeze-dried.
Absolutely excellent. Thank you both so much for coming in. Unbelievably, we're out of time, but it's been such a pleasure having you guys in the studio here. You've been listening to Food Rebels. Big thank you to my fellow presenter, Dhruv Baker.
Thank you, AJ.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for this wonderful insight into two very different but kind of similar worlds of flavour and culinary magic.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Really good. Thank you so much to Alec Cousins from SuperPlant Kitchen and Jawahir Al-Mauli from Ujamaa Spice. Thank you so much for joining us. Food Rebels is available on radio stations around the UK, and you can get replays through the podcasting apps such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible. And thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you taste the rebellion. Right, what are you going to try next?